Do you want to know how to automatically sort all of your items in Minecraft? I'll let you know, and all the theories behind it too. Hello, welcome to OMG Craft. I'm your host, OMG Chad. This is a show that'll teach you how to become a Minecraft expert in no time. Today we are answering an email. This says, I need your help because I saw some people separating items on YouTube with hoppers and chests, but I don't understand how they did it. This is from Sally. Thanks, Sally. So I assume what you're asking about is an item sorter, which uses hoppers and chests to make sure that you can put all your items into one chest, and then as it filters down the line, they'll get sucked into the appropriate chest. And so yes, I will show you how to do that. So here is the basic design that we're going to use in order to sort these items through. Looks like this, and just about everyone uses it because it exhibits all the behaviors that you need in redstone and hoppers and everything in order for it to sort items. I'm going to quickly make it. I'm going to make this again much slower so that you will have a way of knowing how I did it. But I just kind of want to make it really fast just to show you that it can in fact be made incredibly quickly and that you can do this yourself. And the cool thing about it is that it is tileable. You can have as many of these guys as you want. So what are we going to sort here? Let's go ahead and sort with our hoppers, just to, I don't know, a little bit of inception here. So one of the things to load this up is that you will want only 22 of these guys. Otherwise, you're going to have a weird situation going on. So if you get 22 of these all laid in, there should now be one down here and a few in here because I tossed a few in. If you throw too many in, well, I'll get into why if you throw too many in, it would be a bad thing in later on. So here's your input. Let's just demonstrate how it works. Let's throw some hoppers in. Let's throw a whole bunch of iron, and let's throw a whole bunch of iron blocks in as well. Now each of these, let's go ahead and remove the iron, remove that, and remove this. There we go. And you can see that as they get pulled out of this item hopper, they will arrive. We have 3. I pulled a few out, but we got 21 in there. How many more does it have to get through? It has to get through a lot. I put a full stack in, but you can see that more are showing up. We haven't gotten to the iron blocks yet, but just as we suspected, all of these are getting sorted out. What's even cooler about this system is I'm gonna grab some redstone. I'm not gonna grab this much. I'm just gonna grab a few pieces, throw it in before, so it's gonna sort in. And where will it go? It's not gonna go into any of these guys. It's gonna go all the way down here into a, hey, this was something else chest. You can see that I was setting up the iron earlier. So this all works perfectly. Now, how does this work and why does this work? I want to explain what all of the behaviors it's using. First is that hoppers have a direction that they point. If you just put one on the ground, you can see that its little nozzle is pointing down, but these guys are pointing to the side. You can do that by shifting and then right-clicking, and there they go. You get a hopper that's pointed in a direction. And whenever you do this, items will flow from one hopper to the other down the line, so those blocks will end up over here. Now the other cool behavior is that if you put a hopper below another hopper, they will no longer flow this direction, and instead they will flow down. What's basically happening is this hopper, it's his fault, he is pulling the items out of this hopper before he can push it to the next one. So each of these sort of have behaviors within themselves, and this one is taking priority. So he is stealing them first. The other thing that I want to point out is that these hoppers can be toggled on and off with redstone. So if I go ahead and put this redstone torch here, let's go ahead and break this guy for now. Let's go ahead and grab his blocks. This redstone torch is powering the hopper above him. Let's go ahead and throw some more of these iron in here. And they're going to this guy, and then they are stopping. And they're not moving over to this hopper because he's been powered on. Whenever he's been powered on, blocks will no longer flow further in the chain. That's another behavior that we need to learn. Another thing is that if a hopper is filled up on inventory, like this, and there's no inventory slots for things to go in, hoppers cannot put items in. So now we're putting ore in, and you would think that this one would grab it because of that behavior that we explained before, but he can't because his inventory is full. So this guy pushes it to the next hopper in the line, and we see that it lands over here. And finally is that behavior of comparators. This isn't with hoppers, but this is of comparators. That if you put down a comparator will tell you the relative fullness of an inventory. Let's make sure that we don't have any more items coming down the pipeline. So let me show this off for you, is that this comparator now has nothing. So there is no redstone signal coming out of it. But if we were to put, say, just 22 items in, there we go, it will send out 1 redstone signal. Now the moment that we put an extra piece of items in here, it will output 2 redstone signal. So we can use this mechanic, this behavior, a little bit further on. So let's point out all the behaviors that are happening here. First is that the items will flow in a specific direction. That's what's happening here. Next is that this hopper will take priority as it's going down the line. But as you can see, we've filled this hopper with an inventory. So the only thing that can get placed into this hopper is an item of the same block because they can stack together. Everything else is full. So if a piece of iron ore goes by, it's not going to help at all. It's not going to go into this hopper. Now once that happens, if you count 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, there's 22 blocks. So once one more block gets dropped onto this stack, what will happen over here is this redstone will change from 1 output to 2. So this one gets fired. Now, the next behavior is that this is locked. It's not going to do anything because this redstone torch is locking this. So no matter how many blocks of iron we put into this hopper, it's not going to move anywhere because it's been locked. So once this fires over here, it will power this repeater because this signal isn't strong enough to get over to unlock this hopper. It'll unlock the hopper, and it'll put the item in. So that is what is happening in a nutshell. It's coming down. If it can, it'll fit in. If it does fit in, it has too many items, which will trigger the comparator to trigger this and unlock and put the item into the chest. So let me show off how you make this. First, let's go ahead and start with your chest that you're going to use. Whoops, you don't want to put a block down. Now I've stacked chests together. If I was to put another chest next to it, just a normal chest, it would become a double chest, and we don't want that to happen. So we're going to put down a trap chest. Now, word of warning with a trap chest, whenever you open a trap chest, it does output a redstone signal. And as we know, a redstone signal will lock a hopper. So let's say, let's go ahead, what was this one? This was, there we are. We'll put a whole bunch of iron ore in here. So iron ore should be flowing through the system. You can see this number changing, but if we open this up, there's not any blocks coming in, and that's because it's locked the hopper behind it. If we look in the hopper behind it, it will have those extra items once we check that out. Wait, what's going on here? 42, wait. 48. Okay, yeah, so it's working. So it's locking this, so it's not going to pull anything down from here. It'll eventually figure itself out over time. Now, one thing you do want to avoid is that happening too much. Otherwise, this comparator will notice that there's, like, say, a signal of 3, and it'll turn these guys on in the back, which will mean that these will flow through. Good, everything's fine for us right now. So you don't want to be inside of these locked chests for too long. But, okay, back to the tutorial. We have our chest down. We're going to go ahead and put the hopper into it, just like this. Let's go ahead and build out the back. So we'll put down some blocks like this, and then we'll lock that hopper. On top of that, we are going to put another hopper. Now, we can't put a hopper down just pointing down, just like this. And the reason is because this guy, it's his fault, will force an item into this hopper without this guy pulling it. So we want him to basically try to push it somewhere else and fail. You can't make it off to the side, otherwise he'd push it into another hopper. You don't really want to go out, I mean, you could go out the front if you wanted, but it's normally simplest to push him into the back, into this block, which you know will always be there, because what if you wanted another chest here or something like that? So we're going to go ahead and put him right here against that comparator. Then we're going to add some blocks to this so that that 2 redstone signal can happen. So we're going to put 2 down, and then this signal needs to reach over, like I said before. So we're going to put down, oops, and it needs to make sure to face into that block, and that way it will be able to repeat that signal into this torch. The very last thing that we need to do is fill this with items. So I'm going to break this apart. Let's get 22 items. Sorry, I couldn't read that number. And we're going to try to do that as fast as possible. There we go. And if you want to just make sure that everything's fine, you can drop a few on there. Make sure not to drop another 22. Otherwise, it will, like if you dropped a whole stack on there, it would set off these other things. And there we go. So now we can throw some redstone in, and we can see if it, 11, this is a trap chest, 16, perfect. So it is working perfectly. Now, one last thing of note with this tutorial is that this comparator, this hopper, whatever the heck it is, it's a hopper, needs to be here. And the reason is because if you think of him as sort of a regulator, he's the regulator hopper. Because if you were to add items into this hopper right here, he's actually going to do double duty for you. If I was to say, let's pull this iron. We have a lot of iron, so if we were to put iron directly in here, you would think that it would all go down because he's filtering it out, right? Well, what's actually happening is this guy is pulling from him, but there's so many items that he has enough time to also push this way down the line. So let's just go ahead and drop this iron in and just watch what happens. You can see that items are going into the chest below it at a pretty fast rate. But also what's happening is over here, you're getting items also added to this. Now the way to stop that is that if you put your items into another hopper, he's going to put the items into the system slower than this guy can push them forward. The bottom guy will take precedent. Remember our rules? So the bottom guy is going to suck them out of the hopper before he can push it along the system. So you do need to have sort of a regulator in the way. At the very end, very simple, we just added some hoppers. They're all pointing down into a chest. And this chest can be, and it could be right here if you wanted it to be. Whoop, and all you have to do is break that. Make sure that he's pointed into the back of it. There you go. Now he's in line. Oh no, all of our items. Now he's in line with the rest of these guys. And that is how you make a very simple item sorter. I hope that you enjoyed this little tip and learned something about hoppers and redstone and sorting systems, because it is really awesome. You don't need any mods. You can play it in any vanilla world or survival server. Really kind of a cool system. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like or subscribe to the YouTube channel or leave a comment letting me know what you think. That about wraps it up for this episode of OMG Craft. See you next time. Bye!